The Browns go on to win it 37-20. We got two legendary quarterbacks right there. Now, the Browns kind of abandoned the play-action game after Nick Chubb's season-ending injury, but have been using it at the fourth highest clip since Joe Flacco became the team starter in Week 13. Now, Flacco has been doing work in that regard with an NFL-high 6 touchdown passes off play-action since Week 13 and averaging nearly 20 yards per completion in that situation, which also leads the league in that time. Now, Mina, what has impressed you most about Flacco?
Everything. No, it's not surprising that Joe Flacco can make some of these throws. He's always had a cannon. What's surprising to me watching him right now is that he can make these throws on the move. I mean, you saw it with the under center play action, the boot game, but also scrambling and hitting forward on that touchdown. Guys, this is where he ranks when throwing on the run over the last 5 games. This is crazy. I mean, not only does it inspire me as a fellow 38-year-old to want to hit the treadmill more, but it's also really important because this Browns offensive line is significantly injured, and a lot of these scrambles and throws on the run are by necessity and so important to this offense moving forward. So the fact that he can do it, I don't really have the words because frankly, when I watch him week after week, I'm astounded by it.
What's the fastest speed-wise you've actually gotten on the treadmill at?
It's as fast
like
as Joe
7.
Flacco get out the pocket?
When I say on the move, that's minimum 8, by the way. That's,
okay.
All right.
So when those stats where Joe Flacco,
okay,
speedy.
They're going the same speed.
That's pretty speedy. That's pretty speedy. What about you?
we're the same age.
I think last night you saw the depth and diversity of this offense, both in people and scheme. Going into the game with no Coop against the New York Jet defense, I'm like, oh, you know, this will be interesting. And all of a sudden, David Njoku continues to show up for Joe Flacco. Checkdowns become big plays. And it's not just some stuff like that, where Joe Flacco has Elijah Moore. And then the fact that Kevin Stefanski puts 6 offensive linemen onto the field, and then they get into their one-back power game with a player like Jerome Ford. We know that they've missed out on 2 of their 3 top tackles, or 3 out of the top 4, and then their 13 personnel, the one-back, 3 tight end stuff. This is kind of what Mino was intimating with the play-action pass and Joe on the move with the perfect ball. So I think that's one of the more interesting aspects, too, is how much Kevin Stefanski has allowed this offense to kind of open up a little bit and be so much more than just a singular player or singular personnel grouping. It's been forced in many ways because of the injury, and you're seeing it thrive.
Joe doing his thing, man. I like the crossers last night, Dio. I like the way you just pointed out how they work the middle of the field on the check down, but also just the crossers. Joe made one over C.J. Mosley's hand that was beautiful. But they've gotten back to – we've seen this iteration of Cleveland before. I know y'all remember us talking about this 2-3 years ago. This team wants to run the football and hammer you in play action. That's when Dan thought Baker Mayfield was going to Canton because he was having a successful year. So now you get Joe Flacco, who understands, like, the arm strength is still there, the ability to place the football. There's one caveat, though, fellas, and MK. Yes. I get nervous when he put the ball in harm's way, man. And you start talking about the playoffs, it take 1 or 2 of them things to completely change the outcome.
And they got the defense to cover up on it, Marcus. Like,
my man got 10 touchdowns against man to 1 interception. He got 3 touchdowns to 7 picks against zone. Shout out to Bees, our researcher, for sending us that, because it was some last night where I was like, Joe, what the hell are you doing? Now his players are bailing him out. And according to Dan Orlovsky, you got to take those chances with the football if you want to have explosive plays, which I agree with. So they've turned in his favor. I just think about the small margin of error that you have when you get into the playoffs with those type of plays. That's the only thing that gives me uncomfortable.
Hey, man, Joe Flacco playing with house money. Joe Flacco was trying to beat people to carpool. He was the first person in carpool looking back at Diane and Sally and saying, I bet you won't beat me to soccer practice either, Sally. That's what Joe Flacco was doing a few weeks ago. And so now he has an opportunity to be reborn in this game. right? Like this man has been baptized in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. He feels a certain rebirth that you can't coach, right? You can't teach that. And that's why he's willing to push the football down the field. That's why Joe Flacco is willing to take those chances. And Marcus, you're right. If you extend this over a season, he throw like 30 interceptions. But Joe Flacco, don't trip about tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. This ain't Annie. For him, the sun ain't coming out tomorrow. Joe Flacco is taking advantage of this opportunity, and it's making him a better player. He's not trying to prove to anyone that he could be the guy. He's trying to show you he can. This is this team, bro. This team has an opportunity to be in the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, they are the AFC's dark horse team to be a Super Bowl contender. I'm letting nobody want to play him.
I agree with that.
If he throw a pick, guess what? So
we got another one. He'll go get it back.
No tomorrow, so
I don't know a Diane or a Sally.
No, you just got to say YOLO at this point. But
YOLO.
but Joe Flacco's run.
Dan, you grew up in Connecticut. You wouldn't know a Diane. You might know a Sally. You wouldn't know a Diane, though.
I happen to know both.
You grew up in Connecticut.
I know both. I grew up in New Hampshire, though, so anything can happen in our tiny but mighty state. I am, yes. Okay.